Store in Taiwan is a Sanrio themed 7-Eleven. So you'll see off to the side here, just a wall of plushies. And then over here, some signs that say stay cute. The entire top is just rainbow themed with all the Sanrio characters, including Hello Kitty. And then over here, we have the girl herself, Hello Kitty, who's actually much taller in person. Let's go inside though, because there's a lot more to explore. Oh my gosh, look how tall she is.
To finish in the next hour. And if I don't, I'm gonna be revving up. Imagine a place with no laws, where it's always either too hot or too cold, and it smells worse than the inside. Your retainer case. Now you may think the place I'm describing is Waffle House, but no, because the place I'm talking about is the school bus. The school bus is one of the wildest places I've ever been, and I've gone Black Friday shopping in Compton, so that's saying something. And I don't mean the school bus is wild in a fun way, I mean that it's wild in a there are no rules here, and we're all just trying to survive until we get to school type of way. Because the school bus was supposed to be simple. You get on, you sit down, and they drive you to school. But this whole idea fell apart for one reason and one reason only, which is the students on the bus. But before we even get into the actual people, let's talk about the experience of getting on the bus. You wake up in the morning absolutely miserable because you only had like 5 hours of sleep. You get ready and then it happens. The school bus pulls up to your house. First thing you notice when you step on that bus, the smell. The smell was impossible to identify, but the best way I could describe it was your dad's underwear after a full day of work. Not that I would know what that smells like. Anyways, the reason this scent was so strong was because the windows were always shut in here. So the body odor of 20 teenagers that were still discovering the concept of a shower was trapped inside this tin box. And this led to the next problem, which was the temperature. This might be a personal thing, but it was always either so hot that the kids next to you are passing out. That's not a joke, by the way. Like, that actually happened when I was on the bus. Or it was so cold, you couldn't feel your fingers by the time your bus got to school. Never an in-between. And the seats had no comfort to them at all. I'm pretty sure the reason my posture looks like this is because I'd always sit in the bus slouching down just so I could be comfortable. It's like people who created school buses had a big meeting together and they were just like,
okay, how can we make this experience as miserable as possible?
Oh, I have an idea.
Yeah, chopped guy, what do you have?
How about no air conditioning or heating?
No air conditioning or heating at 7 a.m.? I love it.
Oh, I have one.
Yeah, cross-eyed dude, what's up?
How about we put windows on the bus, but don't allow the students to open them?
Dude, that is evil. I love it.
So you've got a smelly bus, a temperature that is always wrong, and seats designed by someone who has never sat down before in their life. And then you fill it with 30 kids, and what happens? I've got a new video topic. Now I lied at the beginning of this video when I said the bus had no rules, because it did have one. And this rule was about where you sat on the bus. Because the bus was split into 3 sections: the front, the middle, and the back. And based on where you sat, everybody on that bus already knew exactly what type of person you were. Let's start at the front. The front of the bus was for one type of person and one type only: the teacher's pet. Because what other reason would you have for wanting to sit as close as possible to the driver? If you sit literally anywhere else in the bus, the driver won't be able to hear what you say or do, which means you could do whatever you want. But here's the thing about front of the bus kids. They didn't just sit there quietly being good. They didn't just sit there because they were homies with the driver and talked about sports or movies with them. No, they had a purpose for sitting up there, and that purpose was to be the lookout. Now, of course, since the bus driver has to focus on, well, driving, he doesn't have the time to pay attention to every single kid and make sure they're behaving. So the front of the bus kids would take it upon themselves to do this for them. Now you may be wondering, did the driver ask the kids to do this? No, they probably couldn't care less, to be honest. Because I was on a bus one time and the lookout kid tapped the driver on the shoulder and said,
Mr. Roberts, there's kids fighting back there.
And because the bus has that big honking mirror at the front of it, I could see the driver's face. And when this kid snitched on the people in the back, the bus driver literally just rolled his eyes as if he was tired of this kid snitching on everyone. The kid would do this over literally anything too. Like, he had the rows of seats memorized.
Kids in row 10 are throwing food on the ground.
And no, hey, I respect the passion that these front of the bus kids had, but maybe they should have put that passion towards something more useful, like cranking 90s and Fortnite. That's what I was passionate about at the time. Now that I think about it, my passion was pretty useless too, actually. I genuinely felt bad for the front of the bus kids though, because the one on my bus was just trying to behave. He wasn't actually doing anything wrong, but because he'd snitch on other students, some of the people on the bus would mess with him. Like, there were times where he'd get a grape thrown.
I'm coming for you. Cue up the spotlight. Drum up the beat right. You want this so bad, go get it, I dare ya.
Growing up in a little red house on the edge of a large forest in Norway, there were 3 things we were encouraged to be: to be kind, to be honest, and to be hardworking. These are things that each of us can control. Over time, I've come to add a fourth. Be curious. Be curious about the world around us, about the history and cultures of places we have yet to go. And then go. Go with an open heart and...
At him and turn around like this. Who did that? But right behind this row of kids that are snitching on your every move was the kids in the middle of the bus. The middle of the bus was where the NPCs lived. And before anyone gets upset because I called you an NPC, I myself sat in the middle of the bus for most of my life. So I would know. It's not an insult, this is just the truth. But I'm not calling us middle of the bus kids NPCs because we didn't have any personality or anything like that. No, I'm calling us NPCs because compared to the rest of the psychopaths in this bus, we were just the normal kids. We would just get on the bus, sit down, maybe talk to whoever was next to us, look out the window. We weren't causing any problems and we weren't snitching on the people who were. We were simply on that bus because we needed a way to get to and from school. But here's what I didn't fully realize until way later. Being normal on the school bus was actually the weird thing to do. When you look at what was going on in the front and in the back, the people who were just sitting there being regular human beings were actually the minority. We were the ones who suffer the most on these bus rides because all we wanted was peace. But unfortunately, when you got World War II happening behind you and the Secret Service in front of you, that was impossible. And when I say World War II is happening behind me, you may ask what I mean by that. You'll understand very soon because now we gotta talk about the back of the bus. Now I want you to do something for me right now. Close your eyes and picture what happens in the back of the school bus. Take a few seconds. I'll wait. What did you see? Smoke? Flames? Screaming? Crying? Whatever you saw is probably accurate. But the fact that you can even picture what the back of the bus looks like just shows how crazy this section was. The kids in the back weren't bad people. Okay, maybe sometimes they were. That might be a lie. But they just did not think the same as the rest of us. I don't know if there was free caffeine hidden somewhere back there or what, but it was always pure chaos. And you may ask yourself why the back of the bus was so different from everywhere else. And it was simply because this was the furthest point away from the driver. So this basically meant no one had any idea what you were doing or saying. Yeah, sure, the bus driver has mirrors to look back there, but at least in my case, my bus driver had bad eyes, so they probably couldn't even see that far back. Now that I think about it, why was someone with bad eyesight driving a bunch of kids around to school every day? How did he even pass the test? Whatever. Anyways, I know I said I was a middle of the bus kid, but that was when I matured a little bit, because before that point, I myself was a back of the bus kid. And this means I know firsthand what happens back there. I'm talking cooking food, breaking windows, riding on the seats, anything you can imagine, it probably happened. So I have some crazy stories about kids in the back of the bus that you would not believe. So if you're a back of the bus kid watching this, learn from me, please stop. But here's the thing, splitting the bus into front, middle, and back is really only part of the picture, because inside those sections, there were specific types of people, characters, the same characters that appeared on every bus, in every school, in every city. Let's start with the one who plays music. This person mainly lived in the back section, but their presence affected the entire bus, because although playing music usually isn't a big deal, for some reason, there was always a kid who would play it out loud. Why would they do that, you may ask? That's a great question. This person would hop on the bus at 7 in the morning, and they're playing Drip Too Hard by Lil Baby. Don't get me wrong, I like that song, but it's 7 in the morning. Let's listen to that song at lunch, not now. If you're gonna play anything at this time, play elevator music or something. I always wondered if this person played their music out loud because they didn't care if they were bothering anyone, or if it was because they actually thought other people wanted to hear their music. Newsflash, no one did. If there's someone like this on your school bus, do them a favor and buy them some headphones. They won't actually use them, but at least they'll get the message. But recently, I've realized something about myself. I will go so far out of my way to avoid talking to people. Like, I'll choose the